Hello and welcome back to the Timid Roundup. I'm J77 for this week. We had a pretty much a gap between this week and the week that passed. I didn't do a show last week due to the fact that we had some storm coming, and I wanted to brace myself for the worst. For the moment, it wasn't as bad as in the city, at least. The suburbs, it was bad. It was worse. But overall, this week the snow is melting down, and I predict by Wednesday the snow will pretty much be gone unless we have a major cold front, which weather-wise isn't happen. But due to the fact that that weather was predicted to be very, very tough, and the fact that I missed a day off because of it, it was best to batten down the hatches, rack up on supply of foods, and just be ready for whatever wants to come. With that being said, it doesn't mean I have not been keeping tabs on what was going on in the world. Of course, the basketball tournament has happened. Villanova upset it, of course, in the tournament. The Sweet 16 has been done, and pretty much everything is now slowly winding down to pretty much that big Final Four. Wasn't really into college sports this year. My UConn team didn't, of course, wasn't as good for the last few years. Of course, St. John's hasn't been good in God knows how long. The women's basketball, however, they made history, having a winning streak, breaking their own record for that matter, and barring some kind of major upset, and that will be pretty much big news if the UConn women basketball team gets upsetted. They're going to win another championship. It's right there. The writing is on the wall. So I'm pretty much looking forward to seeing how that situation is done. So I'm keeping an eye on that. As for the JonTron situation, I just found out about this. Okay, guys, I do not know too much about what has happened. Okay, I'm being very, very honest. I heard Double Toaster talk about it. A lot of YouTubers talk about it. I will do a separate video on that. But for me, it is irresponsible for me to talk about something I don't know. A lot of people are angry. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are saying it's not what I think it is. So until I hear what was going on from all sides of the coin, including Johnson Trump, I'm going to keep that pretty much on the side burner. I will talk about it, but that's probably a separate video. But it is something that needs to be talked about, especially with the incident with PewDiePie, with the incidents with a lot of other YouTubers have said some things in the past month. It is important to at least hear both sides of the story because you never know how inconclusive the rumors come because it can take just one guy to unintentionally say the wrong things, which lead to a whole big blow up. Review Tech USA, of course, admitted that part as well. I don't want to be the person who just heard from one point of view without hearing what the person explanation to and why he said what he said. With that being said, it has been a very very crazy situation online, but this is also a lesson we learn. Whether you not know or not, you gotta understand something. In this new wave of media, we are the new media. Anything you said will be taken into account. If I say something that is racially charged, everybody will come on me, criticize me, and will hold me into accountability. This is one of the reasons why it prompted me to do a special on my political channel involving the constitutional amendment because a lot of people keep throwing free speech this and free speech that. Free speech is not protected by everything. It's protected by some things, but not everything is protected under free speech. And your words, or whether it was meant to be hateful or meant to be something of political satire, can be taken into account, and consequences can happen from what you said. And this is something I want everybody to understand. You're not immune to being fired. You're not immune to being criticized yourself by others who don't agree with what you're saying. You're not immune to seeing the political backlash that can happen, which we're seeing with another politician who said the most outlandish things I have ever seen, and it's pretty much proven that we have a long way to go in terms of racial equality in this country. This country still don't get it, and the thing about it is you're seeing it now more than ever. It's because we have the social media network. We're now seeing more of this happening, and we are being more aware that there are still people out there who think this way, who are stuck in a timeline that has been long been gone. in our American history, but still they want to hang on to that and want to drag down the next generation along with them. This is why you can only be conservative for so long. I don't want to make the entertainment roundup that kind of platform. I always want to talk about entertainment news, which I'm going to be talking about here. I got a couple news I want to talk about, but I want to be very frank, be very fair about the whole thing. Is that when you have a point of view, when it's have when you have an opinion that is strongly and is political or racially charged, people are going to put you behind the back burner, me myself included, and you got to be aware of that. As far as John Collins is concerned, yes, I watch his videos. I follow him doing the Game Grumps. I follow him when he came back to doing his own thing, and I understand he's a comedian who loves videos and does a little movies from time to time. Will that bring a bias on me in terms of how I view things? No. Will this actually change the way I watch this video or even watch the video alone? I don't know. I have to see what was going on, and only then will I'll give my full response respectfully, calmly, and objectively. Then I can tell you what I thought about this and whether the thing is overblown. Needless to say, it is hitting the internet, and if Double Toast is talking about it and the news media is talking about it, you know, there's something big going on. And I just wanted to see what was the big deal before casting my own opinion. But here's the thing about this: we also got to remember that sometimes even major media tends to overblow things. The PewDiePie to me was a big situation. It was a joke going wrong. He didn't know how to end it. He continued that bad joke, and as a result, he was fined from Disney and was ridiculed by Wall Street Journal as well as a gaming hipster magazine. But that felt was a little bit crazy and out of line. So keep that in mind that sometimes the media can actually overblown things that shouldn't be overblown. With that being said, just move on. Um, Long live Chuck Berry's music. He passed away yesterday at the age of 90, and it was a very, very sad day indeed when I heard about it. But the strange part about it, as I was being sad to hear that Chuck Berry died, the one behind Johnny B. Good, I also thought that he already had passed away. I thought that he was already gone, and the fact so hearing his name came up, it was like a surprise that has happened. But his music is legendary. A little bit of tidbit: it was in Back to the Future, and that was. A big thing. Even though he didn't want the music originally, they actually paid him a hefty fee to get his music there. His music is legendary. So, for those who don't know, and those who just recently found out, Chuck Berry had passed away at the age of 90. He leaves behind a very strong um, legacy, and it's pretty much it's going to be something that will be he truly will be missed. Already, the rock the music world is already mourning his death, reminiscing about his music as well as they should. But again, when I heard his name, a lot of my friends said I thought he was already gone. I myself admitted I thought he was gone, but when I heard his name, I said, "Oh, he passed away." That's sad. But Chuck Berry again, passing away at the age of 90. A great loss to to the rock and roll world, but his music will definitely move on for the fans as well for classic rock. There has been news I wanted to talk about. I actually almost forgot about this store. I actually forgot about this, and I'm actually kind of glad it came in. This is from the Huff Post, by the way. A former Power Ranger star has been guilty to manslaughter. He faces now up to 6 years in prison if depending on what the judge and the jury will tell him to it. But here's what Richard Manella Jr., a former star of the Power Rangers Wild Boy, pleaded guilty on Thursday for stabbing to death for Joshua Sheldon, a Los Angeles court district attorney official have announced. He amended a plea to one felony count of voluntary manslaughter and admitted an allegation of using a sword in the killing. This is coming from the LA Court DA's office. The actor is facing up to 6 years in state prison for a crime. Sentence is scheduled for March 30th, according to the press release. The actor is 38 years old. He was arrested back in January after allegedly got into an argument with Stutter, which then turned into a physical fight. The LA court office, DA court office, hold on a second. I almost lost the There it is. He has also renounced, and according to the he's still being held in jail. My apologies again. Um, held in jail. And this and he said that they will be held on March 30th of this year. So again, that's what is being said. Manila was held. Uh, the charges against him, however, asked the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department to continue their investigation into the incident. So this may be an ongoing situation. Uh, Bella told ABC it was self-defense case. It has been a self-defense case. You have to an individual here that was a victim of beating in the kitchen area before he went to the bathroom and closed and locked the door in order to secure himself from any uh, continuing violence. Bella is best known for playing Chloe Evans' Red Lion Wild Force Ranger in 2002, the Power Ranger Wild Force. He also played Dexter in Power Ranger Samurai in 2011 and 2012, and had a small part in on ER and CSI Miami. Um, yeah, I apologize for the Ryan situation. Again, these video feeds sometimes interferes with what it is, but it says here again that he has been convicted. He actually pleaded guilty. Now, the question is about this, as you guys think, they do two things. If he would have went to trial and both trial, how much would it get? If possibly he could have gotten 30 years to life. I doubt he would have gotten the death penalty, which I don't think that was it. But it does really raise the question: just how much evidence was against him, and would it just be easy for him just to plead guilty? Which, in all on occasion, that's exactly what he did. He can get 6 years, or he can get 1 year. He can get a full prison term, or he can get probation. Who knows what the situation is? But it is a definite fall from grace from what he was into the situation. In the picture, they show him in a yellow yellow shirt, holding a mustache and beard, and pretty much shaggy hair, and he much looks like he's okay, looks like he's holding firm. But the question still remains is what are they also going to be investigated about? If this is going to be a closed case, what future investigation are they having with the actor? So that's the one thing that's going to be a situation. I actually almost forgot about it because they did mention this before about this person getting in this situation. So again, I haven't followed Power Rangers in a long, long time. But this is definitely something that is a huge blow, even for fans of the TV show or just fans of this particular TV show. And again, I will keep an eye on this because it is definitely one of the things um, that definitely will have more of a turn to it than anything else. Because again, they're looking to continue the investigation even after this conviction has been pretty much set by the judge. So again, in case you guys haven't noticed or haven't kept up with it, the actor who played in the Power Rangers series, one of the actors, Ricardo Mendela Jr., pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter, and his sentencing will happen on March 30th of this year. A few weeks down the road for that matter. All right, so for those who are kind of wondering what some of the cast be doing to support a particular cause, um, it always comes to me as very important that cause have a good reason. I always feel that way. This is one of the good reasons. All female Juno cast will reunite to benefit Planned Parenthood. Now, again, this is also a Huffington Post as report. As you all know, with new president in town, there's also a possible budget cut, and Planned Parenthood is definitely on the chopping block for many reasons. Not all the good reasons, but now we have a lot of people in Hollywood, especially, who are talking about this and actually is bringing attention to these cuts. One of them happened to be Ellen Page and Jennifer Garland to raise funds for Planned Parenthood. Again, Planned Parenthood is facing humongous cuts with the Republican-run administration that could deeply affect the health of a lot of millions of women across the country. This is all stemming, of course, for their providing abortions, which a lot of the anti-abortion groups has been sticking their grounds under and basically using it to justify cutting massive, including services that has nothing to do with abortions at all. But this is something that a lot of people are taking note of on. And you would think that our politicians would actually see the support, because this is not the first time people have stepped up and to raise money successfully for Planned Parenthood. But no, they just feel they need to cut back on that. And now we got stars now gone to the point where stars are actually bringing the attention. But according to the article, which is done by Huffington Post and has been done by Chloe DeBuck, who wrote the article. It says here that crack open the light of Sunny D and a leader of Sunny D and pick up your hamburger phone to call the Juno fans in your life, because the film cast reuniting to celebrate its 10th anniversary with a twist. Director Jason Reitman is organizing a live read script featuring only female members of the cast, including Ellen Page and Jennifer Connelly, to raise funds for Planned Parenthood. For years, Reitman staged a live read for a voluntary class script using some of his favorite actors to bring the film like The Princess Bride and Stand By Me to life. After 40 live reads over 5 years, he bid farewell to the series in 2016. However, in the wake of last year's presidential election, Reitman said he was inspired to put together an all-female performance of Juno to benefit raising awareness to women's health and organizations. One, President Donald Trump first executive order signed since his inauguration of January is to target women's reproductive health access worldwide by halting funding to international non-governmental women's health organization if they provide abortions. Again, this is something that has been a big deal. And so a lot of people, including major stars, pretty much said, okay, so we're going to raise money for them. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And this has been working, because this isn't the first time they have tried this with organization. As you know, Susan Coleman has had a very serious problem, and it actually backlashed at them hard to the point where they actually had to about face, because the money that would normally went to them to funnel through Planned Parenthood, it was going directly towards Planned Parenthood. So this is actually a good thing that Jason Reitman has done. He's a good director, and what he's doing is very, very cool. And I applaud him for this. It's always something, I always love hearing stuff like this to report about it, because it is important that people are aware about these issues, and to bring awareness that, hey, this stuff that you're trying to do is not cool, and you're very affecting the lives and well-beings of millions of women, although one thing you just happen to not agree on. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it. I will, and hope you guys will look this up. I will follow up through, because I actually want to know how well they have done in the situation of what they do here in terms of fundings. Excuse me, I'm trying not to cough here. It's one of the problems about live shows. Sometimes you can't control your immune system when it comes out. What else to talk about? Here's a question, but many people ask me to ask about: do they should do a remake? I will leave this for you guys to talk about. Should they do a Dirty Dancing remake? They have been talking about it for years. This is especially after the failed sequel that came out. My feeling is it depends. I feel if they're gonna do another Dirty Dancing, they can't do what they did with the Dirty Dancing they had last time. In fact, a lot of people has discussed about the issue, especially with the abortion situation they was doing with, especially those backyard illegal abortion things, that which surprisingly still exist in certain areas of the countries here in the United States and other countries abroad, which had dangerous and even fatal consequences. A lot of people feel they should just leave that part out and deal with just a rom-com drama / comedy. I'm not a big fan of Dirty Dancing. That's not one of the reasons. I just felt that's more of a chick thing than anything else. I just didn't really grab into the story. Not to say the music wasn't great. I thought the music and the dancing itself really what made the film for me. But other than that, it's not something I go back on. They're way better than the sequel, though. I'm just saying, way better. But it is an interesting question. If they want to do a Dirty Dancing, they did Footloose. I mean, it ain't like they can't do it. Footloose was actually remade and actually was done pretty well. I thought Footloose done a very good job. But Dirty Dancing, a little bit different. One, on how different would you vary from the original, and two, will you keep it P-13? And that's the key word. I wouldn't make it P-13. I would make it a little bit more edgier than what it has normally been. But that's how I would do it. I don't make it geared towards teenagers 13 and above. I will definitely will make it more of 17, but that's my opinion. What you're feeling, that's the question I'm going to put into, especially those mass question. Would you welcome a remake, and how would you do it? That's the whole thing about that, the whole thing that's going down to it. All right, so let's move on. Well, I got a question for you guys. Uh, I mentioned this before and again, and it's not a more question, but the news article. Will you miss Game of Thrones when it gets canceled? Will you miss it? Will you actually feel that this will be better off this they do it as a two-parter? Because they are doing it as a two-parter. It's one season with two-parter, 8 episodes, one season, 8 episodes, another season, and that's it. Well, here's the question: what's their mark in history? Do you feel that Game of Thrones made a strong mark in history? Do they think they changed the way fantasy is made? I say yes in many ways, and I also say in many other ways, not as explosive as many people hope. Like I said, there are some shows that actually made impacts. Like we were saying goodbye to Vampire Diaries. We already said goodbye to a lot of other fantasy series that came in. But Game of Thrones is a little bit different because people actually expect a lot more from Game of Thrones. There's something about Game of Thrones that people do expect. It's almost like this is HBO's The Walking Dead. I know that sounds crazy at many standards, but when you look at it, this series is going to take a whole different direction. Keep in mind, they're not following J.R.R. Martin's platform anymore. So you're kind of wondering where they're going to go with it. And this is actually they're going to be the first season where we don't really know what's going to happen. There are so much changes and nicks and nuts that's going to happen in the series where I don't know who's going to actually come up on top. Everybody thinks that the Dragon Mother is going to be reign supreme on this, and I'm not too sure. I'm looking at that everybody else. I'm looking at the vicious, at the Stark's children. I'm looking at Snow. I'm looking at a lot of the characters who normally people seem to brush off or think they're gonna get killed off this season. I think someone from each faction will get killed off. I just don't know who. I think it's only going to be focusing next season. The last season going to be focused on 4 major characters only. I think the Dragon Mother is going to be there, but I don't think she's going to rise to race supreme. I really don't see. This is going to be a year that's going to be very unpredictable, and I do believe that people who think they're going to actually survive is not going to survive. I do know one thing though is that I want them to take this show on a path that no one expected. No one actually have seen. No one have actually can actually give give a meaning to put something on the box and this is going to happen. I just know it's going to happen. I want this show to surprise everyone. I think this last show, the last season, did that. I think a lot of people didn't expect a lot of stuff to happen the way it did, and it really caught people really for a big loop. I think people were like, wow, this now we're getting there, because I didn't hear too many good things about the show up to the last couple episodes. So this was one thing I will say. Let's see what happened. Let's see what's going on. Let's see how this is going to work, and I'm really interested in seeing. Can they step up the game even more, especially the last 2 seasons? Remember, they're only going to be 8 episodes this year, and the final 8 episodes next year. So let's see what happens with that, and let's see what what new surprises they have, especially if they're not following the author's platform anymore. So that is definitely something that is going to happen. Um, Last but certainly not least, the Kardashian news. From what I heard, various reports that that they seem to be a target of a lot of house breakings lately. First you had Kim Kardashian and her horrible ordeal with her jewelry getting robbed. We recently found out not too long ago that they had captured the people involved in this. She's not going to get her jewelry back because, according to reports, they have melted it, sold it, whatever they did. And now we're hearing that the youngest member of the clan, Chloe Kardashian, Chloe Jenner, one of the Jenner sisters, has also had a burglary. I don't know what was being taken, probably, but it was something that is very big. And I'm kind of wondering, in the Kardashian favor, that maybe it'd be a good idea if they change their entourage or change the security system, because they're becoming too much of a target, and it's really beginning to concern me that they are pretty much, even though Kim, to her credit, have kept away from the spotlight ever since the ordeal, and to be honest with you, I can't really blame her. That was a horrible ordeal that she went through, and to me, I would pretty much say I'm gonna stay away from social media network. I'm not gonna post anything from the media network. And to be fair, if you was like those guys who got, who put money into social media network, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, and you got robbed, that's because you put way too much attention to stuff. So Kim is doing that. I think the rest of the family should start following suit as well. Don't keep posting everything of yours on the internet, on the site, and just basically look at the friends you have around here, because this is becoming an issue. This is becoming a very serious issue. This is something that I think the family need to sit down and talk about, more so than the article saying, can they survive the post-Trump era? I don't know why people are reporting on that, but I am concerned that the Kardashians, the Jenners, that whole clan are in the subject of targeted, because again they put so much, constantly on many magazines, whether it's in Cosmopolitan or Vogue or all these other tabloid magazines, to them being, tweeting a lot of stuff and posting a lot of stuff on Twitter, Facebook, or social media, that they are constantly going to be target of these thieves who are going to attempt to take their stuff. And this recent report of the Jenner family being robbed is definitely no exception. The thing that concerns me is you would think they would have high security, them being so famous that they are. You would think they would have some kind of a measurement to prevent this from happening, but obviously they don't. And that's one thing that concerns me about the fact that they are just seem to be more wide open, and it makes me wonder if they do have this kind of security. It makes you wonder who their friends are, because again, this is one that you hear stuff like that. You always have to point about the entourage. The perfect case example is Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan had a lot of people she shouldn't be hanging out with, and these people really have not done her well. She was robbed in her house by her own entourage. She got into a fight that led to the police being called in New York. To me, she has basically mellowed out, especially since she has moved from the city all the way towards Europe. She has mellowed out dramatically. She has kept us out of the spotlight, and she has been on the spotlight for years. But sometimes the entourage, sometimes the people you hang out with, don't have your well-being at heart. And I think it's time that they reassess who they hang out buddies are, because this is becoming, it's not too coincidence. If it's not your bad security, then it's obviously people who is around you that know you, that are constantly are doing stuff to you guys. And you really got to take consideration that it's not just you, it's the entire family that's being put on target. So I'm hoping they deal with this. I really, really hope that they actually sit down and talk about better security, because this is becoming too much of a pandemic with this family, that they're being robbed like this. My opinion, of course, you guys may disagree. Let me hear what you guys have to say about what I just talked about in earlier in these topics. Again, I do apologize, but like I said, when I do things live, the mistakes tend to happen. try to improve on it as the show continues. I'm doing pretty much a little bit of both live show and pre-record shows. We will see more pre-record shows come down, but for now, I'm trying this out, new live format. And until next time, this is Jason Simpson. Take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.